All right, everybody. Thanks for coming back on time. We are going to move to Tara Zehr and Trent Powers from Berg Middle School in Newton, Iowa.
No, I think, ooh.
I'm, like she said, Tara Zehr. We both teach at Berg Middle School, the only middle school in Newton. I've been teaching in the same position for 6 years. You've been there 10?
This is my 10th year.
10th year. We're a little bit nervous about presenting here today because this is still pretty new for us, so the presenting and what we're doing, so bear with us.
Yeah. As we do preface, we are not tech savants. So what we've kind of done in our classroom, starting kind of middle of last year into this year, is really different. It's for us. So Tara's going to kind of take you through our process and kind of what we did to start with.
Like you said, this next slide, this is where we kind of thought it all began. We felt like we were doing the same thing that we'd been doing since we were sitting in the desks as students, and as teachers, we were getting bored of it. We felt we needed a change. We felt outdated, or we were losing students. We weren't capturing their attention any longer. We were just ready for something different. We knew our students were going to be on board too. Our transformation started the 2013-2014 school year when we got Chromebooks. That just for our math students. We weren't one-to-one yet. That was just in our math classrooms, and it was because we found the digits curriculum through Pearson Math. We were going to use that. We wanted the technology piece. We wrote a grant. We got a Chromebook cart for each of our math classrooms. The following year, Powers and I teach 8th grade math. We're the 8th grade math department. And that following spring, in 2014, I believe, we were ready for standard-based grading. This is our grading system. We don't know that it's perfect yet, but it's what works for us. And that was our next big change after gaining the Chromebooks. This immediately helped us get a better understanding of what our students knew. Our students had a better understanding of what they knew, what they were capable of. We were reporting it out to parents better. And it was a really good change for us, but we could tell it still wasn't quite enough. There was still something missing to get us to where we really wanted to be as far as teaching, because this still didn't really change our teaching. This just was changing our assessment and our reporting out of grades. That's when I went then to the iTech conference in Des Moines last spring. I saw on the agenda in one of the rooms, I saw the name Clay Edwards. Whether that means something to anybody in here or not, it meant something to both of us because we had interactions with him through we both went through the Math for the Middle Grades Math for the Middle Grades Master's program at UNI. Clay was a student with Clay was a student with Trent, and then he was a presenter in my year. So we had that name was familiar to me. His session was self-paced instruction, task-based learning, and other one-to-one uses in the math classroom. And I was like, that's exactly what we need. We're one-to-one. How can I use this to better reach our students? I took pages and pages of notes from Clay. Basically, we took everything that he did and adapted it to fit our students, so this should really probably be him up here presenting to you because we stole everything from him, but we've been in contact and he's good with it. He is now, he was at Grundy Center at the time, he's now an associate professor at UNI, possibly watching us. We gave him the link, told him to tell us how we did. But we knew that the self-paced was the way that we needed to go with the curriculum we had, with the one-to-one capabilities. I went back after the conference and told Powers, I said, that's what we're missing. That's what we need to do. We need to take what this guy's doing and we need to make it fit our students. We've adapted some of the things, which is what you're going to talk about next. And one thing, and it looks like most of the yellow pages on your guys' slips, or on your guys' tables, our links are at the top of the second page. So when we're referencing things, our links you can find those there. So then here is one of the things we've adapted from Clay is each one of our days of the week is a little bit different.
All right.
Let me know.
So when we talk about self self-paced learning. I'm sure some of you are sitting there kind of going, whoa, what do you mean by self-paced? Well, the kids are kind of on their own at times. But it's not like they just come in every single day and sit down and go, okay, here's my work, here's what we're going to do. If we do that, they will lose interest if it's always the same thing every day, over and over and over. So what we've come up with is in talking to Clay and looking at research that he's done and that others have done, they say about 60 to 70% of the time should be their self-paced lessons. And then we kind of add in some other things through that. So we've come up with our days of the week. And what the days of the week help us do is just kind of break up that time a little bit. So that way it's not, like I said, they come in, sit down, and then they start working on their lessons. So Mental Math Monday is about 10 minutes. And that's just to start on Mondays. We're pretty regular on that. These are the things that when we started our transition last year, we really struggled with. So our number one goal for this year was to hit these every day. But mental math is basically, if you think about, since we teach middle school, they're very basic strategies. So we found a book from like 1988 that was like mental math in the junior high. Some of you, I remember when I was in middle school, we did these, and we don't go through every lesson. We just basically take the idea, so like subtracting from the left, adding from the left, break up and bridge, just some basic strategies, kind of show it to them, and then they kind of attempt to use the strategy for the 10 problems. Like we said, it's only about 10 minutes. We don't want it to go too long because otherwise this isn't really our main goal for class. And then the rest of Monday is then they get out their self-paced lesson, which we're going to kind of show you what our lessons look like and what that looks like coming up. And so then the rest of class, they're working on what we call their notes, their companions, or practice, a lot of practice. Our second day is our favorite day of the week, and I think our kids really like it too, is Task Tuesday. Task Tuesday really ties in with Diane's presentation with all her different tasks. So a lot of the same websites that she had, we actually have. This one is not on our list because I forgot about it, but if you want to write down, this link is amazing, especially if you want the 3-act tasks by like Dan Meyer, Andrew Steidel. I don't know, there's a whole bunch of them, but basically all of these have just numerous tasks, problem-solving tasks. They're unbelievable, and our kids love it. So Tuesday, all we do is a task. We literally they get to work in groups. We actually take our kids a lot of times to our cafeteria and let our two classes go work together. When we did our schedule last year, we kind of go up and down with staffing. I know some of you probably run into the same problems that we do with budget concerns and things like that. So one thing we sacrificed was we said we'd rather have our planning time at a completely different time if we could have all our classes at the same time. So our 8th grade classes, let's see, you have 4 of them, right? Because you have 2 7th grades. So we have 4 classes together so we can do tasks together. Do we have an example up there?
Well, they're not. Oh, there's
okay.
one.
Well, this is from Dr. Edwards, or we call him Clay. It's Clay's site. I think
Want me to click on that?
these are just like the tasks. You can tie in anything. We use a lot of like 6th and 7th grade tasks for our 8th graders just because it's new to them. And what we have found is we need to continually go back through ratios, proportions, percents, all those things, because when we get to the 8th grade Iowa assessment, that's basically all it is. And if any 8th grade teachers in here, okay, so you know the 8th grade test doesn't really tie into what we spend most of the time teaching, which is pre-algebra concepts anyway. So these tasks are really, really helpful. Look around. There's a lot of different ways. We kind of adapt them to what we want to do. I have one section of algebra that we use them. We just did one where it's literally just a smaller roll of toilet paper, and they were trying to figure out how many sheets of toilet paper are on the roll based off of just using circle properties and things like that. And so it is interesting. Graphing stories, I think, got hit on, but we just use different things for our tasks. Wednesday, we call it Workday Wednesday, whatever Wednesday. This is where we kind of tie in our standards-based stuff with reassessments are really important if you're on standards-based. Going back and having them re-practice and rework on their standards. So if they need to do a reassessment or we need to make a small group for reassessments, we'll tie them in. Otherwise, they can work on their lessons. They can work on their task if they didn't finish it on Tuesday, because we usually tell them their task is due on Friday. The big thing we really promote with their task is then being able to write up what they did, not just here's my work, but actually organize their work, write about it, say these are the things I did. So I had to find the area of these two circles. I had to take away the middle of the toilet paper roll because there's nothing there, and then show their stuff. That's a big process that we're working on. Thursday is Throwback Thursday, and we use Buzzmath for Throwback Thursday. Buzzmath is a middle school website, so we use Buzzmath instead of IXL because Buzzmath is free. If you want to go a little farther with it, it's like $5 per kid, and we cannot get $5 per kid. But the best part is you can basically do everything except it doesn't let you check on what they're doing. And so we just use it as our weekly throwback. So today I think we assigned our kids decimals and percents.
Yep.
Part 2 or something, and it's 10 questions, and they're just throwing back that, hey, this is what we did last year or in 6th grade. It is free, and it'll allow you to put your roster in there and let them do it. The reason we picked this over IXL will limit you on how many they can do each time. This one, they can do all the stuff. They just can't do
like the badge system.
The badge system and all that stuff. And for what we use it for, we don't really need that. But if you're a middle school person, this is really good. I guess even if, I know we have some 9th graders and sophomores that probably struggle with things as well. This could be something that goes back. We kind of use the NCA TM, but we kind of bounce back and forth with those other ones as well. We just have them log in through Google because all our kids have Google accounts. And so you don't even have to do a whole lot. And so that's and that's for the first 10 minutes on Thursday. Some go a little longer, but we usually try to keep that to 10 to 15 minutes. And then our last day we call is Finish Friday, and that's finish up any assignments you need to get done from the week. Finish up a test. Finish up your task. Just finish up what we're doing during the week. It's these days really have helped because last year we didn't really do a good job with these days, and then it became a battle with our kids to keep them working and keep them going. So that's kind of how we set up our days. Tara is now going to talk about a website that we use a lot, and this is how we design all of our self-paced lessons. And then we're going to actually let you guys kind of look at Blendspace as well here in a little bit.
So Blendspace is what we got to. I don't remember what we started with. Maybe
we
just
started
Google.
with our own website.
Yeah,
and that didn't work.
It didn't work as well.
For us,
We
anyway.
found Blendspace and haven't done anything else since then. We're actually presenting from Blendspace. So for anybody who hasn't seen it, this is what our presentation looks like.
And this is what our lessons will look like.
Yeah, we'll show you our lesson.
When the kids have those as well.
So we're just presenting in that. We'll show you 2 of our lessons. One of the very first lessons we ever created in Blendspace was our rotations, our transformations. So here's what students see. So after they do their Mental Math Monday or their Throwback Thursday, or whatever day we're on, then they know to pick up on their 9-3 lesson. So we start them always with the learning target. What are you going to accomplish by the end of this lesson? Like I said, we have that online curriculum, so it tells them a lot of times go and do this on digits or complete this in your digits examples. But we also include videos. Right now, we're borrowing videos from all over the place. Eventually, our goal by next year is we're going to start creating our own videos so that it exactly what we want them to hear every single time. But that's another year away of us creating the videos.
What we use the videos for is kind of our direct instruction piece. So instead of us being up in front of the class the whole time and saying, this is kind of the examples, when we take the videos, we then create a note sheet for them to work along with and use with the videos. Because what we found is, and I'm sure you guys know this, how many times have you looked out and there's the kid that's just sitting there looking at you and they're doing nothing. What we have found is we can now go and say, hey, where's your note sheet? Have you completed the note sheet? And so we have a checklist of things that they have to complete. And I don't know, as we keep going, like, if they don't complete everything, we don't let them test. And so they've kind of found out quickly, if they haven't completed everything that we want them to do for practice, we won't let them test. And then they have to stay with us and work with us at a different time throughout the school day, or as we say, after school. And actually
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, we pulled in about 10 kids Saturday morning and had kind of a little work session with them. The 10 we brought in were not what I would call like tough kids. They were just kids that needed a little extra time, and they were very open, yet they didn't want to, but they were kind of open to coming in, and I think they enjoyed, and then their tests went really well. But one of the things we've had to do is kind of set those limits and say, you can't just do nothing the whole time you're in here. It's not like you just sit. And so that's kind of how we use the direct instruction piece.
It's allowed us to get out from in front of the whiteboard, giving everybody the exact same instruction. Instead, they watch this video. We know the kids that aren't getting it. We can go and sit and have a small group with them or have one-on-one, because we know the other kids that are going through it faster. As you go through it, we know the students that we can just check in once in a while. How are you doing? What questions do you have? Which ones need more direct and more individualized instruction? So it's really allowed us to better meet the needs of all of our learners. We include practice in there all the time. So there may be a couple practice questions. In this case, they have to graph some things, rotate at 90 degrees. That just came from the video they just watched. The last video was just about rotating 90 degrees. Now they practice about the origin. Now they have 4 practice problems. They do them. They check them with us. So they don't go an entire lesson without checking anything in with us. They show us if it's right. Yep, good job. Move on. You're doing great. If not, no, let's go back. Let's look at a couple of these, and then we can fix those problems as they're coming up. So it can work for geometry to the topics we just got done doing, which I'll be honest, I don't know if I admitted to Powers, but I was a little bit nervous to let them go on the solving equations all on their own. I thought that maybe needed to be still me standing up there showing them 100 examples of how to do it. And these are the tests we just got done taking are probably some of the best tests we've had in 6 years. Same type of thing, a video, watch a 3-4 minute video, get some examples, and then do some practice questions. So then we have some practice. There's always different things. Check in with your teacher. You can put quizzes in this. I mean, there's just a lot of tools to use to check their understanding as they're going throughout the lesson. One complaint that we've heard, and probably something that you've been thinking, is well, my student tells me that he's teaching himself. You don't teach him anything. We still have that direct instruction piece. It's just not coming from us yet. When we start making our videos, it will. But it's not coming from us. It's coming from the videos that we use. But we have felt like we are much better grasp on what each of our individual students can do, because we can sit right down and work with every single one of them at some point during the day, or some point during the class. They still are getting the instruction, but they're allowed to, what am I looking for? Oh, they're allowed to work ahead as they need to. Our slower learners aren't felt like they're being left behind and aren't able to get it, because they get to take an extra day or two to work on it, and they're not being left because we're not having to teach everybody else the next lesson. And we're not holding anybody back. We're not making anybody move too fast. Everybody's able to go at the pace that really is best for them. We felt like a lot in the past, our accommodations were just for that lower tier student, Now we feel like we can also reach those top tier students because we can say, hey, you got done with 2-2, solving with variables on both sides, move on to distributed property, keep going. And then provide, that extra practice as needed.
Yeah, the hardest thing, like with you, so the kids that advance pretty quickly, you probably all know what those kids look like, who they are. We're still in the process of creating, and they're like, hey, do you have this yet? Do you have this yet? And it's like, no, we don't, because it takes, it takes a lot of time. I mean, we're just happy this year that we had started, so we're looking forward to second semester when we can kind of tweak some of the stuff we've already done. So yes, up front, it's going to be a lot of time. It's been rewarding as all get out.
Extremely.
We talk a lot about, just remember, it's all about progress. It's all about learning. That's what we're really into. I mean, I can, when we think about the kids I've got one girl, she is always a lesson behind. But she just works slow. She doesn't not work when she's in class. She works the whole time she's there. She will always be behind, but if we were doing what we had been, it'd been like, come on, let's go. And she doesn't care if she comes in for 25 minutes after school to finish her work. She nailed her test. I mean, she nailed it. She would ask questions every once in a while, but it's not like you had to sit there and guide her through the whole thing. Will she do well on her assessment? I hope so. But that time factor could be a problem. But I guess she's learning, and she's learning at a pretty high level, just not as fast as others. And that's what I think we're in it for. I mean,
yep. And we measure success too by the number of students that have said to us that they don't hate math anymore. Yeah. They don't love it, but
no,
they don't love
it.
But they don't hate it because they're not feeling behind. They're not feeling or they're not feeling like they're being slowed down. They can that's just been awesome because they come in, they can work on what they need to work on, and they get the time to do it. Now, and so that's been one of the best things for us.
Now, there's also the other end, because there are the kids that won't try and work. And so what we've had to institute is deadlines, which we don't always like to do. But you have to have some kind of deadline to keep them progressing. And so like we said, the number one goal is when we talk to them in class, it's like, remember, you should progress. You should be doing something. You should be getting something done. So we have to kind of put like, hey, this lesson probably should be done by Thursday. So anybody that's not done by Friday, we're going to have an after-school time for you to get caught up and finish. So those are some of the things we've had to do, which isn't our favorite thing to do, but you got to get them going. But it's been amazing. When we first made our switch, all the kids that didn't like math, didn't do anything when I was in front of the classroom or Tara was in the front of the classroom, were all excited. Because they're like, oh, this is great. Now we got videos and all this stuff. About 2 weeks in, they kind of went like, wait a minute. I never did the notes. I didn't write anything down they told me to do. I didn't do any of my assignments. I'm doing more than I was before. And I didn't do it. And now they start to kind of figure. And so then you got that battle a little bit.
But it helps hold them accountable.
They're getting their stuff done. I mean, we don't have as many homework problems as we used to have. So that's another thing. That's kind of our self-paced stuff. Mm-hmm. Should we do questions real quick?
Yeah, and then Blendspace if we have time.
And then we'll talk about, I want to run through Blendspace a little bit just to show how easy it is to create a lesson. But I know some of you probably have questions, and I know we haven't hit everything we probably should have. So did we get?
Yeah.
Okay. I saw a couple hands.
As far as your assessments, like is there like a day that's like, okay, now we're assessing, here's the test, here's the quiz, like, or
Yes.
the high flyers, they take the test early because
We-
they're the first ones done?
We like to test on the same.
Sorry, be sure and repeat the question for those online.
Oh, thank you. The question was, do we have one test day, or do we just kind of let kids test whenever? We kind of set a test day and say this is when you should be done. If we have kids that get way done early, then we try and find a enrichment type task to go along, or just any kind of enrichment task. Because one thing I've learned, they don't necessarily have to be doing what we're doing. They just need to be stretching. And And so we do that.
But that's something we've talked about, is which is better. Do we let them test and just keep going, or do we have
Right.
them test the same day? So that's definitely a question
One of
we've
the
asked
reasons
ourselves.
we test right now on the same day is because we haven't got to our next topic yet. So we're still, like, when we have everything, I think then that will be the decision we'll have to decide. Are we going to test everybody at the same time? Does everybody need to take the same test? I don't know. That's the whole next thing. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what we have to figure out. So
I just want to validate everything you're saying because we are doing the exact same thing at the Beta Middle.
Yeah.
We went last year to visit Dr. Edwards.
Okay,
And so,
yeah.
Perfect.
so everything you're saying
Woo!
is definitely where we are.
Oh, good.
And so this was really good. Like we, for example, we let them test when they get to that point. So, and we've been trying to set deadlines, but we've been also trying to let them learn at their own pace. So right now
Right.
I've got kids in Unit 1 and Unit 5. And
Yeah.
like we spent most of our summer organizing our website, but you're right, I'm still trying to keep up with the fast flyers.
Yeah.
My question for you, I have two questions. Number one, are you on block scheduling?
No.
So you're 40, whatever. minutes.
42
Okay, weird.
minutes, yeah.
Okay, and my second question is, what are you using, one of the big things we came up with issues for was at quarter grades, because we're still in that mindset that we have to report grades every 10 weeks or whatever. Like, what are you doing with the kids who are still not meeting those, I mean,
Yeah.
we're doing the same thing, we got them coming in after school, but you're right, I have one girl that went really slow through decimals, but she nailed for the first time in her life a B
Yeah.
on a math
Yeah.
class and was like elated. So I don't want to penalize her,
Yeah.
but she, how are you
Yeah.
guys handling it?
So
you
the
got
two
that one?
questions, we'll repeat them. The two questions were, are we block scheduling? No, we're 42-minute class periods.
or 45.
45. Sorry. And then second question was, what are we doing for those students that are behind and with quarter grades? I don't know that we have a great answer. Right now what we're doing is we've not really convinced our principal because she was great about it, but I mean, we keep our quarter 1 and quarter 2 grade open and we just cut off at semester. Every test, one thing we didn't say, but every test with the standard-based testing is we put old standards on it. So just on this last test, we had a couple of our first standards from our first test on there. And so we have to go back and change those all the time. The best thing that we have so far is we just keep that window open, and we can continuously change first and second quarter until the semester deadline.
Yeah,
And that's
what
and I
we
think
tell
we could
kids.
probably do all year. We just haven't asked yet.
Yeah.
So what grading, like we're on Power School.
Oh, I see.
We use Infinite Campus because we're a PC school. So
Yeah, we
we didn't choose that, but
Shut down grades after
yeah,
four
we
months.
used to
We
be.
had to figure out.
But when we switched okay, so in our building, we're not all standards based. Our science department is,
half
and we
of our
are.
math department
And
is.
so we have kind of, with that switch to standards based, we're kind of like, hey, we need extra time to be able to have kids go back and do things. And our principal last year and then our principal this year were very open to allowing that. It's middle school, it's not high school. So at middle school, we're kind of like, really, middle school teachers know this. Grades really don't matter in middle school. I mean, they really don't. They don't follow you to high school. It's not like it affects your GPA or anything. So, I mean, they should matter more, but that's kind of why the standards-based movement in middle school has kind of come on, is because we need them to learn, not really worry about did they get an A, B, C, D, or F. And so that's been our advantage, I think, with that.
Are you the only grade level doing this in your building?
Yes.
In the math department, we're the only grade level.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, The self-paced, we're the only, 8th grade math is the only people doing it.
So you're going to cap them at the end of because our district right now, we have 5th and 6th, and we're trying to get 7th on, and the intention is that if a kid can move forward and start 7th grade halfway through this year, we're going to let them. And
Right,
then
if we-
obviously we're going to hit a
yeah.
wall when we get to high school.
Yeah, if
but-
we have kids that would get ahead, we'll probably start to tie in some of the algebra stuff that they will see the next year.
And our district is currently in the process of possibly having a realignment, so we have a 5-8 building and a whole new building, so maybe that's something that we could get to in a couple years, is start them out and, it'd be a whole 5-8 math conversation.
We had a question from online.
Yeah.
How are your test scores looking for your district since the change?
Like assessment, like
I don't know if we've
Well,
done
our
it long
district,
enough to know.
This would be from
We
Clay
just
Edwards.
started.
Oh,
Who's it from?
Clay.
Tell them we just started last. Clay, we just started last. When did we start?
It said last spring.
Last year after that conference was when we started to switch, so we don't know
But-
100% sure on our the effect on our test scores.
Well, but
we're hoping to see this year.
But
a
we
little bit
got
more.
off the Senate list for math
Yeah,
last year.
we
so
don't. That's what the
We don't-
newspaper said.
yeah, so-
we don't know.
we'll take credit for it. But
Kind of. We're meeting about that later today. So.
Oh.
Oh, you did watch. Good. Any other questions on those things? High school wise, I think we feel like it could go for you high school teacher. I mean, maybe it's the nice thing about Blendspace is you don't have to do a whole year. You can do like if you're ever going to be gone, or if you want to try a unit or just a lesson. Blendspace is really, really helpful for that. So did you guys pull up Blendspace at all? It's pretty easy. We just tell our kids type in Blendspace in Google.
Sorry.
They've kind of changed it a little bit to TES or something. I don't know. That kind of tests something. But we just have our kids log in through Google. I don't even think I can like sign in with my name. I think it's all just through Google. But
do you want to just use that bar? So it's right, this one.
what? Oh, did we create it? It's really easy.
You have 6 minutes.
I have 6 minutes?
Yeah.
Well, let's make a lesson in 6 minutes. So you can enter your kids actually to join a class. All you have to do is enter a code to get kids to join a class where it says classes. There we go. And so their names will come in, and it'll give them a code for them to enter, so they don't have to do anything. But that's pretty easy to do. Lesson-wise, create a new lesson. You just hit create a new lesson. There are different templates if you want to change how it's set up. But this is the easiest part to use is right along this side. When we want a video, so like our next thing we're going to kind of hit on is scientific notation. We punch that in. This right now is I believe is searching Google. If you hit YouTube, it'll pull up videos. You can preview them. To actually take a video, you just click on it and drag it in, and it's there. If Ed Creations,
Creations is good.
EDU, I don't know how you say it. Those are we use those a lot. Is it going to go?
Maybe click back on there.
What happened?
Click back on where you were, the Ed Creation, and then exit, like click up there maybe, and enter there.
I don't know. Sometimes it works.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
don't know what's going on there.
Okay, so that one's not working.
You can drop in links.
Media files, web pages. We've dropped in web pages. Guru, I don't.
Google Drive.
Google Drive. I'm guessing most people are on Google Drive. It seems like we pull stuff in. I mean, you can pull up your drive and literally just grab it. I don't know if we've got something.
It doesn't
that's-
matter, pick it, yeah.
We'll just, and it'll put it in there, and then the kids just click on it, and it'll open it up.
That's our student semester fund.
Oh, those are our fun days, so I picked the good one. Text box. We use this just a lot if you want to say something along the lines of complete the notes and show your teacher. We say your teacher because we create lessons together, and so we don't want, and then and go back. But if you don't like that template, you can switch it. We use just the square grid because we feel like it's easier for the kids. They keep telling us it's still difficult to follow. I don't know. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You do it in order. So now we have like a checklist also for them, and it's like, guys, it's right in front of you. It's
Middle schoolers.
but they're middle schoolers, so we kind of deal with what we deal with. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, it's
Oh, show the gallery where you can
Oh,
borrow from other
yes.
people.
that's how we started, actually.
Yeah.
The gallery.
Scientific notation again. This is how we started because we didn't know what to put in it, so we, again, borrowed from other people and just used their lessons and adapted it to fit ours.
You can click one and actually just.
Gallery's right in that homepage, and then you can just copy. If you go right to copy, and then it's right in your bank of lessons. And so now you have the ownership over it. You can change things, delete things, and that's how we started. We took a lesson that we really liked and adapted it to fit our needs. We copied it, and then it was ours to do what we needed with.
Let's see. Yes, and then so your lessons. Now, there are some limitations. One thing we would like them to do is create folders. They haven't gotten that far yet, but it keeps track. This is like this example right here. If you see, so like, do you see where we have the same lesson, but it's got two different names? That's because one of us probably is the true owner, and so we have to kind of share and copy it, and I just haven't gone in and gotten rid of it. It's very easy to share a lesson with students. There's a share button for the lesson, and if you just click on it, then the class periods will pop up, and 4 or 5 clicks, they all have it. And then if you're really into sharing it with other people, you can share it on Facebook and Twitter and QR codes and all those other things. But this is a site, we found out about this site actually from one of our, well, he's a new teacher last year. He just said, hey, we're using this. And we're like, what's this? You know, what is Blendspace? What is it? He was using it for his history class. And we're like, that is like perfect for what we're trying to do. And you can see the kids they get on, I mean, a lot of views that just because they're logging in every day.
We don't know if Blendspace itself works for you or in your situation, but our whole point when we were asked to do this was just to present the idea of the Selfpaced and how it has changed what we do every single day. It's not sit back and kick your feet up and do nothing. It's a lot. It's harder at times, a lot harder because you're going everywhere and they're really wanting to check in with you.
The kids will come at you.
Yep.
Like, hey, what? And it just. We say at the end of the day, it just feels like everybody's coming at us with like questions, and you're just like, you got to really kind of take a deep breath every once in a while and say, we'll get to you when we get to you.
Yeah. But it's better than them sitting there and not asking at all because they didn't want to look foolish because they're having no idea what they're doing. So our whole point was consider the Selfpaced, consider if it's something that works for you and your students because it's really made a difference on our lives and the lives of our students. One more question?
Question for you, what does it look like on the student side? I'd love to be able to see what...
The same thing, they just don't have all the...
Are they only going to see your list of videos? Can they search within...
So on the student side, they would get...
They only see this
part.
Yep.
And then we disable the comments because we don't trust them yet.
But they can have comments there where they could be asking each other questions and doing different.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're not there yet. But this is all they see. They see a list of the lessons that we give them access to see, and that's it. They can't search the gallery or any of that other.
I think they can
tools.
create lessons though.
Yes.
They could create so if you wanted the students to create lessons
for review or something.
One thing we've talked about, Dr. Edwards, and apparently he's checked in on us too, and they know who we're talking about. But this is kind of his website, the tiny URL.
That's on
I think
our
it's
yellow
on
sheet.
there.
Yep.
If you really want a lot of information about these, this is the guy to get a hold of.
It's just the link.
Is
You
it
want to read
just
it to them?
It doesn't do that.
Tiny, yep.
Oh. It's tinyurl.com /121 where it's TO in between math. And he's done a lot of research and what he's spent a lot of time was what did test scores do. He's written a lot of articles I know he's written one in the NCTM ones, the middle grades math magazine. He's been in a couple other magazines as well. But he's kind of where we've kind of taken, and this is just kind of a website, I think, from the presentation you went to.
But all of his stuff is on it. If you
So-
want to access it, it'd be a great tool. So
So I don't. That's kind of what we do. Hopefully, we've kind of tied in. When you went first, it kind of helped us feel like, yeah, we're doing some of those things. So it kind of made us feel a little better. So thank you. But- yes, it is tinyurl.com, and then it's /1 and then TO1 math. And I think it should take you to that. And there's a ton of information in there that he's kind of done. I don't know if he's kind of the first person to do this or what, but I know in my experiences he's one of the first. So we're just trying to copy what he does.
alrighty.
So, are there
Thank-
any other
oh.
questions before we?
Anything from
Thank-
Zoom, guys?
If there are, I suppose we're both at Berg Middle School in Newton, so or you can email Clay. He's really good at responding. So he's a professor now. He's got all sorts of time.
All right, thank you, you two.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.